What up, Bugles? I want to welcome you to this video and to our Comics Bugle channel, your go-to spot for everything omnibus and oversized. Today we have here probably most requested omnibus of recent years, most controversial Batman modern run, and for sure best-selling omnibus of this year. Oh yes, Batman by Tom King Omnibus Volume 1. Cover price is 125 USD and the book have 984 pages. This volume collects the first 32 issues of King's run, including Batman Rebirth issue number 1. It also features tie-ins to crossovers The Button and Night of the Monster Man. The cherry on top is the Batman Elmer Fudd special. The omnibus comes with an exclusive cover by the Fantastic Clay Man, showing Batman in a slow squat and Catwoman striking a sultry sexy pose. Above them is the title, and DC Comics is clearly banking on King's name to drive attention and sales. It's printed as large as possible. I'm fairly certain King didn't have much say in that, but the old truth of comics should apply. The author's name should never overshadow the main character. The back cover features another man's illustration, this time with villains and supporting cast. There's Bane sitting on human skulls, the Flash, and of course, Kite Man. Hell yeah! Beneath the tagline, "What drives a man to become a creature of the night," is a short summary of the story and full issues list. The spine shows Batman's illustration on top and the omnibus title below. Notice how King's name is way larger than Batman. Honestly, it feels like you are holding the Tom King by Batman omnibus rather than Batman by Tom King. But as I mentioned earlier, this is the best-selling omnibus of the year so far, so this strategy clearly worked. On the boards, we get a wraparound illustration of Batman walking through the bodies of defeated mercenaries, likely drawn by the amazing Michael Yanin. The spine design mirrors the Dust Jacket's typography, but what I really love is how the wraparound art continues seamlessly in the background. Opening the book, we are greeted by a stunning Batman illustration by David Finch, followed by the credit page with names of all talented creators who work on material in the book. Then a table of contents with all included issues and page numbers. As usual with DC, nothing is missing. Finally, there's an introduction by Jamie S. Rich before the actual stories begin. As I said earlier, this is arguably the most divisive modern Batman run. Fans either love it or despise it completely. It stirred up such strong emotions that Tom King, who by the way is a former real-life CIA agent, actually received death threats because of it. Even though I personally fall in the part of the fanbase that doesn't like this run, I absolutely condemn that kind of disgusting and toxic behavior, which has no place in our community. If you don't like something, then don't buy it and don't read it. And that's exactly what I did, and for the first time in many years, I removed the main Batman series from my pull list. When King was first announced, I was excited. I loved his Omega Man, enjoyed Grayson, and his Vision is one of my all-time favorite modern comic book miniseries. But I quickly realized King's work is hit or miss. When it's a hit, it's a freaking bullseye. When it's a miss, it's a disaster. For me, his Batman and Heroes in Crisis are colossal misses. Anyway, as has been said, people either love or hate King's Batman. And if you love it, I'm happy for you and genuinely glad it resonated with you. That's also why in this video, I won't just focus on explaining why I consider this run terrible, but I will also highlight the parts I did enjoy. Because no matter how much I dislike this run, King is a talented writer, and I have to acknowledge that it has its strong points, and even some truly brilliant moments. So let's get into it. From the very beginning, King presents Batman as a man flirting with death. In the opening arc, I Am Gotham, Bruce literally prepares to let himself die on a crashing plane, only to be saved by the new heroes Gotham and Gotham Girl. The suicidal framing recurs again and again, and I need to say this. For me, Grant Morrison's Batman is the Batman. Morrison portrayed Bruce as the ultimate survivor, the man who traveled through the time, defeated gods, and turned trauma into an unbreakable will. King's Batman, by contrast, is fragile, suicidal, and constantly defeated. Where Morrison deconstructed Dark Knight in RIP and built him back into a myth larger than life, on the other hand, King deconstructs him into a man barely able to go on. For fans of Morrison's Batman, King's suicidal, despairing Bruce is almost insulting. The opening arc, where Bruce prepares to die and muses on whether his parents would be proud, feels less like Batman and more like a generic depressed hero. It undermines the core resilience of the character. Batman can be dark, he can be obsessive, but to portray him as constantly wishing for death feels like a fundamental misunderstanding of who he is. I understand King was trying to meditate on the futility of heroism and the inevitability of morality. Unfortunately, this theme is repeated so relentlessly that it begins to feel like parody rather than death. King also attempts to peel apart Batman's Rogues Gallery, often with mixed results. In Knightfall, Bane was a master strategist, a villain who broke Batman not only physically, but mentally. But here, he is reimagined as a hyper-masculine brute, stripped of his tactical genius, reduced to a ridiculous visual of a butt-naked screaming villain. His origin is simplified and altered in ways that strip him of complexity. Instead of chessmaster, he becomes a meme-worthy figure. For readers who admire the depth of Bane as a character, King's version is freaking joke. I understand he was clearly trying to say something about power, absurdity, and cycles of violence, but his reinterpretations often comes of shallow caricatures. King's run quickly becomes a love story between Batman and Catwoman. In this omnibus, the thread begins with a flirtatious rooftop encounters, where Bat and Cat banter back and forth. At first, it feels refreshing, even charming, but it also dominates the emotional core of the run to the point of suffocation in later volumes. The seeds planted here show both the promise and the looming problem of King's obsession with their romance. And let's not forget that, when it comes to their relationship, there was the foundation of what could have been one of the most interesting changes in the entire history of Batman. But in the end, what we got was just the disappointment and gimmick, a wasted opportunity that left us feeling scammed. Still, that's a topic for Volume 2, so I'll get into it more when the release comes out. For the material included in this omnibus though, I have to say, the beginnings of Bruce and Selina's serious relationship are genuinely well written and stands out as one of the positives of this run. I actually really love the 2 issues of Rooftop. But truth is, King's writing style leans heavily on repetition. Characters repeating phrases, issues circling around the same emotional beats, arcs stretching thin ideas over too many issues. At first, this can feel poetic, but by the 10th time Batman muses about death or love in the same rhythm, it becomes exhausting. One of the most frustrating elements of King's storytelling is his tendency to have characters talk about major events rather than show them. The War of Jokes and Riddles is the clearest example, and I need to say, overall, I really enjoy the story arc. But we are told about the massive war between Joker and Riddler, with Gotham Code in the middle, but most of it happens off-panel. Instead, Bruce narrates the events after the fact. It's a failure of basic storytelling. Comics are visual medium, yet King constantly avoids showing the spectacle readers accept. On the other hand, the Ballad of Kite Man, and especially Diner issue, where Joker and Riddle sit down with Bruce for a darkly comic dinner party, are peak. It's one of those rare King's moments where absurdity, tension, and psychological depth come together. The issue is genuinely brilliant, balancing surreal humor with terrifying stakes. It shows what King could do when his structure matches his themes. By the way, it's interesting how dinner issues in comic almost always turn out to be fantastic reads. Off the top of my head, I can think of Dinner with Ultron in Secret Empire. Guess who's coming to dinner from Zdarsky's Daredevil run, where Matt is invited to dinner with the Mafia's Libris family? And of course, I can't forget Dinner with J. Jonah Jameson from Against Zdarsky's spectacular Spider-Man run. I don't know what it is, but breaking bread around a single table tends to create truly exceptional comic book moments. The Omnibus also includes two crossovers. The first one, Night of the Monster Man, honestly didn't have much of an impact on me. It's not a complete disaster, but it feels very forgettable. Interestingly, with this release we are actually seeing it in omnibus format for the third time already. First, in the Batman Rise and Fall of the Batman Omnibus, which by the way is an excellent run, then in the Nightwing Rebirth Omnibus, and now again in the Batman by Tom King Omnibus Volume 1. Third time is charm, I guess. But Button with Joshua Williamson's Flash is one of the best part of the omnibus. It ties into the broader Rebirth mystery of the Watchman Button found in the Batcave, and it provides a fast-paced, high-stakes story that combines superhero spectacle with emotional weight. The moment where Bruce briefly reunites with his father, Thomas Wayne from the Flashpoint universe, is one of King's finest contributions to Batman lore. For once, King's obsession with fatherhood and trauma lands effectively, giving readers a haunting scene that resonates beyond his run. That applies at least to what happens in this omnibus. How things develop further and my feelings about it I will share with you when we get to the next volumes. Perhaps the most surprising gem of this omnibus is Batman Elmer Fudd Special. Theming Batman with Elmer Fudd in noir parody should have been a throwaway gimmick, but King, with stunning art by Lee Weeks, turns it into a masterclass in tone. The Looney Tunes characters are reimagined as the remake Gotham Tux, and yet it works perfectly. It's playful, self-aware, and ultimately one of the most memorable Batman stories of the Rebirth era. Many readers, even King skeptics, agree this is the true highlight of this book. While the writing divides readers, the artwork across this omnibus is fantastic. Across Omnibus, we see a rotation of high-profile artists: David Finch, Mikel Janin, Lee Weeks, Clay Mann, and Jason Fabok, each bringing a different tone that shapes the storytelling. David Finch's work in the opening arc, I Am Gotham, delivers a gritty, heavy, almost operatic Gotham, full of shadows and physical intensity. While King's writing lends into melancholy, Finch gave it visual weight that at least felt like a classic Batman. Mikel Janin's sleek, polished line work dominated much of the run and often provided a cinematic smoothness. His ability to convey subtle emotions through facial expressions helped make the Bat-Cat relationship feel genuine at first, even when the dialogue bordered on repetitive. Lee Weeks shine in Batman Elmer Fudd Special, grounding absurdity in noir realism, arguably one of the best-looking Batman issues of the decade. Jason Fabok's work in the Button crossover gave the story blockbuster gravitas, contrasting King's slower pace with crisp superhero dynamism. In short, while King's writing polarized, the arting consistently delivered. The visuals carried emotional weight, atmosphere, and spectacle, even when the script faltered. The extras bring us around 60 pages of bonus material, and this section is focused mainly on the artistic side. The strongest presence here is colors and variant covers. Many of them are genuinely works of art, pieces you can stare at for several minutes and keep finding details. Then we get a classic bundle of character designs, sketches, page and panel layouts, unused covers, and even few unused pages. And that's all. Batman by Tom King Omnibus Volume 1. What can I say in conclusion? You are gonna love it or hate it. Nothing in between. Whatever the case is, this was one of the most wanted DC Omnibus for past years, and we finally have it here. If Batman by Tom King Omnibus Volume 1 catch your attention, you can order your own copy in our eShop comicsbugle.com, your friendly neighborhood comic book shop in Europe. Accept the great catalog of collected, deluxe, and absolute editions, epic collections, and omnibuses. We guaranteed you eco-friendly Hulkproof packaging, free shipping in whole EU, an option to pre-order your comic book now and pay for it later. You can also split full price to 4 separate payments because we know how expensive these books can be. So check it out, comicsbugle.com. You can find direct link below this video. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out any further videos. In our comment section, let us know what other books or topics would you like to see in our videos. And see ya, Bugles!